Hello, Revere, and welcome to our Revere Veterans and Community Show. Today I have as honored the Mayor of Revere and a veteran. Thank you for your service, sir. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for yours.
Before we start, Mr. Mayor, you've been on the council for 12 years and 4 years as mayor, so tell us a little history about that.
It was great serving 12 years on the council and now 4 years as mayor. I really never had anticipated ever in my life, even being involved in politics, quite honestly. And about 16, 17 years ago, somebody encouraged me to run for office. I ran for city council. I was successful, loved what I did. And when the opportunity presented itself, I ran for mayor. And, you know, I think we've done some great things, and it's been an enjoyable job, which is why I'm running for re-election.
Right, and I'd like to read off some of your accomplishments that you've made as mayor, such as, for example, you've increased the police force, which was very low at the time when you went in, up to, if my figures are wrong, correct me, 103?
Yeah, when I took over, we had 84 police officers. I'm told it might even be less than that, but as best I can recall, it was 84. In a city our size, with our size population, we should have about 140. So we were dangerously low. And so I've been able to push those numbers up from 84 to a current staffing level of 103, which has not, you know, the numbers are the numbers. I mean, if it was just a matter of adding more officers for the sake of having more, that wouldn't be worth it to me. It's what's behind those numbers. And what is behind those numbers is a 15% reduction in crime. When you think about it, the national average right now is, there's actually a nationwide 4% reduction in crime, which is great. But we're 4 times the national average. So that is a very positive signal for the city of Revere.
And you also increased the walking patrol. What made you do that, if I may?
Well, people wanted to see a presence. When the old police station was moved down to the Parkway, people missed the police station and the police presence in our central business district here in the middle of our city. So when I was first elected, we opened up a substation, which, as you know, is on Pleasant Street, right across the street from City Hall. And I worked with the chief to implement walking patrols. Actually, I worked with the chief and Paul Dakin at the time, superintendent of schools, to start to put walking patrols on Broadway, particularly after school and into the early evening hours. So I think that presence has made people feel better about coming down to Broadway, spending time here. It's certainly made an impact with the business owners down there.
Right, and talking about schools with Mr. Paul Dakin, who's retired now, I believe, was the #1 superintendent at Revere High School, I believe was the #1 urban school in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great source of pride for me. Our school system is excelling in so many different ways. And in 2014, the National Center for Urban School Transformation gave Revere High School the gold medal, the #1 high school in the country, based on a series of metrics that they had improved so greatly upon. So, you know, when you think about it, last year's graduating class, the valedictorian and the salutatorian are both going to Princeton. So kids are getting a great education throughout our school system. I mean, as much as the high school was rated #1, the high school has been fed from our elementary and our middle schools. So they're doing a great job in our elementaries, doing a great job in our middle schools, and that is now reflecting in high school. So, you know, it's just a great, great job by our teachers, our administrators, paraprofessionals, and obviously the kids that are doing great work. So
here's a question I'd like to ask you, if I may. We've had counselors up here, and they're talking about a new high school. Has there any definite location been set, or are they looking at locations for the new high school?
Yeah, I mean, I know we need a new high school. And we are currently working on a statement of interest right now to submit to the Mass School Building Authority that will hopefully be providing the city with significant funding, 80 or 85%. But we still, when you think about what high schools cost today in the year 2015, we're looking at probably anywhere from 110, 120 million up to $150 million. So even if we get 80 or 85% funding, there's still an awful lot of money that we've got to come up with. So, you know, that's something that we're still trying to get our head around. You know we need it. It's a matter of being able to afford it, and I'm hopeful that by the time that the school building authority gives us the approval and we go through our due diligence process, that some of the old debt on some of the older schools will be starting to fall off or tail off. That will give us enough time to start to undertake a new high school, because we're sending kids to beautiful brand new elementary schools. We're sending them to great middle schools, brand new middle schools.
Like the Hill School.
Yes, and the Hill School is our latest elementary.
Right.
And I think to like send them to great elementaries, great middles, and send them to a 50-year-old high school isn't really something that is in the best interest of our entire school system. So, we really need to look very aggressively at that, and we are doing that.
That's great. That's great. And also, it was great that we were the #1 urban school. A lot of people don't know this here. A lot of stuff that you did for the city of Revere, the Samsung Corporation, I believe, that does the electronics, they also honored our city of Revere.
With the Chromebooks, are you talking about?
With everything.
Yeah. Well, so our city, the city undertook a contest that was in conjunction with the United States Conference of Mayors and Google, and they put forward a contest for every city in the country. And they had a large city, medium-sized city, and small city
So every city, even the Big Apple got in on this?
Everybody, well, yeah, so there were 3 of us. The mayor of Louisville got it for large city. The city of Revere won first place for the small city. And the mid-sized city, it was a city in Texas, I forget exactly which one, but we all won and we were presented with a $50,000 technology grant in Dallas a couple of years ago. And that was a great undertaking with the kids. We involved the school department, our business community, and obviously city government to make it all work. And now we are one of 3 cities that Google is using as a national model and a pilot in a pilot program to put this Get Your Business Online program all around the country. So it was very successful.
Very good. Very good. Now, I'd like to go back to some other things. I know we didn't get the casino, and we lost the casino because of, well, maybe you can't say it, but I can, because the Gaming Commission saw not fit to give it to us, but they were always talking about creating jobs, the Gaming Commission. Well, they made a mistake because they lost jobs when they didn't give it to the city of Revere. We lost 800 jobs. But you came and made up 400 new jobs by adding the Market Basket and Harley Davidson to come into the city. Tell us a little about that, Mr. Mayor.
Well, it's always been one of my top priorities has been to bring in a new commercial revenue stream, which we have. I mean, we have for the first time really in our city's history that I can recall, at least recent history, we have brought in double in commercial tax revenues than we have in residential. And Northgate has always been a focus for me. And so we brought in, Market Basket. We worked very, very hard to bring in Market Basket because we thought Market Basket would be the type of company that would revitalize Northgate. Because Northgate at one time used to be the place where everybody would go shopping.
Right.
And then it started to go into decline. So I knew it would take an anchor tenant to really get that mall going again. And it has. As you know, Petco is now opened up down there. Right. Starbucks is negotiating to take...
I left Petco because I love the animals. I have cats, dogs, birds, whatever I could get them to feed them.
Yeah, and so Petco, I think, is going to be a great addition to Northgate. Starbucks is negotiating to go in down there now. And there's some other things that are in the works that I'm really not at liberty to say publicly right now, but there's some other good things I think that could be coming.
A couple of the seniors, because I do go to the senior center, said they miss Burger King. Is there any chance of Burger King ever coming back to our beautiful city?
I don't know about a Burger King. I'm not sure. They haven't asked us yet, about any locations as of yet. So.
But I hope if they're listening to the show out there, our seniors would love to have Burger King come back because a lot of them are starving right there.
Okay.
By the way, I'd like you to talk about the you doubled Revere's rainy day fund. Tell us a little about that too, sir.
Yeah, so our rainy day fund, when I first became a city councilor, the first conversation that I ever had with Tom Ambrosino was about the creation of a rainy day fund, because the city up to that point didn't have one. So we created a rainy day fund that, when I took office, had somewhere in the vicinity of close to $3 million in it, which is great, considering we never had one before.
When you say rainy day fund as a layman, is that a surplus that the city could use?
Yeah, it's we call it a stabilization
Right.
fund.
Right.
Kind of slang is rainy day fund. It's similar to a savings account that you might have set up for yourself. So let's say that money got tight, you can reach into your savings account so you don't have to suffer as a result of money becoming tight,
Right.
which is our rainy day fund. And it's one of the reasons that the creation of the stabilization fund is really critical to the financial well-being of any city or town. So we've been able to more than double that just in my first 4 years, which I'm very proud of, obviously. And along the way, we've been able to increase our bond rating to the highest in the city's history. So, financially speaking, the city has never been stronger with respect to finances. We've been able to invest in infrastructure, such as things like the new Hill School, the new brand new Harry Delarusso Stadium. We just broke ground on 3 new Little League fields behind St. Mary's. Those will be state of the art. We've rebuilt 4 playgrounds and adding a new playground to the Lincoln School very shortly. So there's a lot of things we've been able to reinvest in our community, and at the same time, stabilize our city's finances and add to our rainy day fund. So all in all, things are very, very good. The city's going in a very good direction.
Right, and another thing I'd like to thank you for, that bridge on Winthrop Avenue needed a lot of improvement, because I used to do steel work and it was a little corroded. I would travel over it sometimes, and if a train went underneath, I could feel the vibrations when I was parked right on the bridge. Bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, so.
Well, some people are talking to me about the bridge. They're not necessarily thanking me, but the work has to get done. I know it's creating traffic, and people are, a little
Yeah, but
upset
what would
over it.
happen if it collapsed while there was a car
Of
there and a
course.
train coming?
Of course, anytime you take, and that that's a state project anyway. But,
Oh, it is?
But yeah, it's a state project. That's not a Revere project.
Oh.
But nonetheless, I agree with you 100%. I mean, that's a safety issue, and so we can't. We have to make these types of investments, and the only way. And in this case, it's the state. But the only way that we can do that, it's going to be some short-term pain with respect to traffic and things like that. But, at the same time, once it's all done, that bridge will be safe, for people to go back and forth on, for decades. And, that's really, that's our obligation. We have to make sure, similar to how I've added police officers and we see the reduction in crime, it's all, to me, I don't think there's a larger or more significant obligation for any elected official than the public safety of our residents. And in this case, that includes our roads and bridges.
Right, it may be a short-term pain, but it's going to be a long-time cure, though.
A long-term gain, absolutely.
Right, now, this is a double figure here. You have the highest bond rating in the city of $250,000. You also did the tornado relief fund, and you collected $200,000. Tell us a little about each one of them.
Well, yeah. So they're two different.
Right.
I think I understand what you're talking about. So with the city's bond rating, I talked about how we were at the highest of the city's history. So what happened when we got that bond upgrade? I asked our director of finance to refinance our long-term debt. It's called refunding our long-term bonded debt. And in doing that, we saved the taxpayers a one-time $250,000. Just one transaction, refunding all of our long-term debt. We're able to save that $250,000, which obviously played a role in our increasing in our stabilization fund. But the $250,000 for the tornado relief fund is something completely different. After we got hit with that tornado, my background, as you might know, is in the insurance business.
Right.
And so I knew there was going to be a lot of uncovered claims because of either exceeding certain limits where there's limitations, on people's insurance policies. Some might be some damage, and some resulting cleanup may have been excluded altogether. So we knew people were going to be impacted financially. So that's why we created the Revere Tornado Relief Fund. And through the generosity of so many people in our own community and corporations and outside people, we were able to accumulate about $250,000 that we were able to distribute over 150 families and businesses. So it was, it was something that we really just wanted to do to be, to be helpful. I know, it was a big hit for a lot of people. It was a devastating time for our city. I mean, not every home was impacted, not every business was impacted, but there was 1,500 structures that were. And so, and that's why that, in fact, we recently had a ceremony out in the lawn of City Hall to recognize the enormous compassion that our residents had for one another during that time that we had the tornado, and how we all kind of came together and helped each other through that difficult situation.
I can vouch for that. I was at the senior center when the tornado hit. The building shook, and there was a big air conditioner unit on the roof, came flying right off. Missed the car, but it got the one right across the building there and did a destructive job on them. And the fire chief came down to shut everything off for us. So,
yeah, it was a very difficult time, but I think we just got $150,000 with the help of our legislature. Speaker DeLeo and Representative Vincent and Senator Petroselli, they were able to get us a $150,000 line item to help us with the roof of the senior center that was damaged during that tornado. Right. And now, once we fix that roof, which is, I believe, we're getting bids right now, it'll stop all that flooding that went down into the basement. And that senior center will be able to start now investing, some resources that we otherwise wouldn't have because of the flooding issues and the problems with the roof. So yeah, that's all really good for the senior center.
Right, people don't realize that, but everyone that lives in the city of Revere, including you, Mayor, is going to be a senior someday. So we'd love to have you all come down to our senior center.
Well, you know that I go down the senior center, quite a bit. It's not as much as I used to be able to, because there's been so much going on in our city that I've been working on so many different things. But when I do go down there, it's always enjoyable. I see so many people that I've known, since I first ran for office 16 years ago.
Okay, you are a Navy veteran.
Yes.
Tell us a little about your service. A lot of people don't even know you were in the military.
Yeah, I served 6 years active duty. And I spent 4.5 of those years on an aircraft carrier, CV-62, the USS Independence. Great years of my life. I mean, I literally was all over the world. I guess of most significance, we were in Operation Urgent Fury, which was the Grenada invasion when we were having our troubles down there. And then from there, there was going on at that time, you might recall, back, I think it was around this time of year, but it was back in 1983, or I think it was 83, when the Marine suicide bombing happened over in Lebanon. I think it was 83, yeah. Yeah, and so we responded to that that crisis over there. So, but it was great experience. My hat's off to anybody that, like yourself, that's ever served in the military. I mean, it's what made this country. I mean, it goes back to the Revolutionary War and every war since. It's what made our country, and our veterans really. We celebrate them every Veterans Day and sadly on Memorial Day. But it is what made our country and what continues to make our country the greatest country in the world. Ronald Reagan once said, peace through strength. So unfortunately, as much as we wish we shouldn't have to have any military at all, it's not reality. There's a lot of people out there that, and you see it right now with this war on terrorism. So we have to be vigilant. Same way that I am on a local level with our police department with respect to national security and national defense. That has to be a top priority. So
You know, when you said Ronald Reagan, it made me think, because Ronald Reagan was probably your age. My age, I got to go back to Teddy Roosevelt, who said, "Speak softly and carry a big stick," which is the same.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, so I served when I was in the military. Ronald Reagan was president, and I saw a huge difference. I worked in engineering when I was there. So
Can I ask you what kind of engineering?
I worked down in the propulsion plant.
Oh.
So, I mean, it was. I mean, you can imagine what it takes to run an aircraft carrier. So. These were big, huge, heavy pieces of equipment, huge pieces of heavy equipment. And the investment that we saw coming in, I was a kid at the time. I mean, I was in my early 20s. So, you know, but to see the change in just a short period of time, the millions and millions of dollars that came in, and that ship became almost brand new almost overnight. And we truly became. We went back to the superpower that we were, and then naturally we ended the Cold War. I mean, it seems like we're going a little bit backwards now with respect to Russia, but we did for a long time, regain our status, and I think still hold that status as a world superpower.
Right.
So.
How long is usually an aircraft carrier, if I may ask you, the length approximately?
Oh boy, I mean, you're talking. I mean.
A football
probably
field?
oh, no, you're talking like probably 4 football fields.
4 football fields?
Yeah,
Okay.
probably 3.5 to 4 football fields.
Wow.
Yeah, it's enormous. I'll never forget first seeing my ship pulling in down in Norfolk, Virginia. And like I say, I was a kid, I was a young guy, and I remember looking at it pulling in. I had never seen anything like it in my life. It's something that's still very striking.
Before we continue, we always give a flag to somebody that comes up here to honor him as a veteran, but I happen to have the honor myself to have been in Washington and with the World War II and Korean veterans, and they presented us with a flag here. And this flag was flown on the Capitol building of the United States, and I would like to present it to you, Mayor, as a gift from all the veterans in the city of Revere and all the veterans from all over the country. And it was flown on the Capitol. I believe I got the letter here, September, I think you got it right there, sir. Yep.
September 8th.
September the 8th, 2015, so it's not even a month ago when it was up there. Would you give us the honor of flying it over your City Hall?
This will be up tomorrow in front of City Hall, absolutely. So this was flown over the United States Capitol. That's tremendous. Thank you very much, Morris.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
tremendous.
you. One veteran to another. I salute you again, sir.
Well, and right back to you. Thank you very
Right.
much. We'll have that up to. We'll
Can
have
I
that
tell
up
you a
tomorrow.
little story about that, if I may?
Sure.
We were invited to go to the Edward White Knights of Columbus in Arlington, Virginia, and there was a general sitting next to me who presented the flag to us. They called our names, and his name was General Greg Martin, who was a 4-star general of the United States Air Force. The guest speaker, believe it or not, was the Marine Commandant under General Bush, Paul Kelly, who comes from Boston here. I don't know if a lot of people ever heard that name, but he was in charge of the whole Marine Corps.
Wow.
So he was the guest speaker there. So for us soldiers to have a general present me with a flag and then to give me a salute, I almost passed out because it was the other way around when I was a youngster, always having to salute him. So it was an honor for us to go down there as World War II and Korean veterans.
Wow. Well, so you mentioned the Air Force.
Right.
And the Columbus Day Parade we have coming up a week from today. It'll be on Monday, October 12th.
Right.
Flying up from Washington, D.C. to participate in our parade is the United States Air Force Honor Guard. And they will be marching in our parade. And when I tell you they're not easy to get to perform in events like this, it is going to be such a tremendous opportunity for the city to host that elite group of Air Force personnel. It's going to really be really nice.
Right. You mentioned the Air Force. When we were in Washington, we went to the Joint Andrews Air Force Base with the Air Force One, the president's plane there. But it wasn't there that day because he was at the UN with our friend Putin, if I could use that word loosely, over there. And we happened to have the Air Force commandant there, who gave us a nice breakfast, a nice dinner, so they treated us good at the Air Force Base. So thank you out there for that.
Well, I mean, listen, it's all branches of the military. It's the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. We now recognize the Merchant Marines as part of us, as part of the armed forces. So that's, that again, you've got such dedicated people out there that are willing to sign and sacrifice really years of their life to defend our country. That's why this show I've been on a couple of times, and I know in between you've had a lot of other veterans.
We've had Medal of Honor recipients on here.
Yeah, it's it's tremendous to have a show like this that. Hopefully there's a lot of young people that might watch this. Or hopefully, my hope is that there would be that would tune in and learn a little bit about what it means to serve your country and what veterans have done to make this country what it is. Because it's the young people that are going to perpetuate that. You and I, as much as we may want to, and could not. We would not be accepted anymore into the military. So it's these young people that we really need to, make sure that they understand, how this country was built and what it takes to keep this country safe and keep this country strong.
They asked me to make a little speech down there, which I did, and I used this flag as part of my speech. I says, we all come from different countries. My father from Germany, my mother from Russia, some from Italy, some from France, some from all over. They all have their little ethnic groups and things. But the one thing that unites us in this country, that unites all the people, is that flag right there. When we all stand up and we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And our national anthem, too, by the way.
Absolutely. And, one thing that...
Mayor, I have to interrupt you. We got about a minute and a half. Take a minute and just leave me 24 seconds.
A minute and a half. Okay, I'll
leave
take...
me 24 seconds.
I'll take 30 seconds.
Go right ahead, sir.
Morris, I want to thank you, obviously, for your service to this country. I'd like to thank every other veteran out there that may be watching for their service. I want to thank you for what you do at the Senior Center. You're there all the time, entertaining people and making sure that, people have a good time. Because,
thanks to Google and Samsung.
Well, and we're gonna continue that going. So thank you very much for having me on.
Mr. Mayor, God bless you, and thank you for your service, sir. Thank the people of Revere, and to all our troops all over the world, God bless you all, and most of all, our great country, the United States of America, and thank you for listening, and I hope on the next show we have another great guest as our Mayor Dan Rizzo. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Always a pleasure to see you, Morris. Thank you.